bad as I originally described.
I'm sure when they watch this, they'll appreciate. You know, but I tell you what, I think you got to have the big picture in mind. And I know I've been on bad teams. When I was at Colorado, we weren't very good, and it was frustrating. And particularly from a high school level, when you're used to winning, to go somewhere and it means so much more in college, it can be really demoralizing. But they got some good pieces. They just have to be patient with it, both as a staff as in a collective group of players.
Dower charging hard to the rim. Sam Dower now with 15 points.
His numbers continue to creep up over the last 4 games coming into tonight. 12 points per game. That's only going to go up tonight. As Douglas knocks down a jump shot. He's had a much better second half here. Now with 10 points, 5 of 12 from the field. 3 of 4 here in the second half. You see here in the second half, he's got some ability at that point guard position.
.441 to play.
Also number 21, Corey Tilkey. He's first.
Matisse Kaida at the free throw line. Matisse out of Thionville, France. Sophomore now, 6'5", 200 pounds. I think when Gonzaga recruited him, they kind of saw him as a defensive specialist, an energy guy, a guy just comes in, creates some havoc.
You know, if he's looking for a reason as to maybe why he's not getting the amount of run he's looking for, you know, his offensive game is still developing. He doesn't have a great handle. He's got some passing ability, but he's not able to knock down jump shots on a regular basis. And you know, you got a guy like Carter and Eddie, guys who are excellent defensively and can do some things, particularly Eddie offensively. It's going to be tough to find some minutes, and we've seen that here this year.
Gonzaga now with 11 players to score in this game. They lead at 83-46. Xavier coming up on Saturday, a top 10 team, maybe a top 5 team.
And when they're
coming off all those suspensions and everybody is scheduled to be back, this may be the toughest. Well, it is the toughest test of the season for Gonzaga coming up on Saturday. You agree?
I agree. Now, they haven't been playing all that well as of late since the suspension. I want to say 3 or 4 they've dropped. But when they're right,
but they've been missing players.
I know, and that's true. But you know, when they're right, when they got their full collection of guys and they're playing well, I do think they're a top 5 team.
They're a Final Four caliber team.
Their backcourt is as good as anybody in the country. They're athletic inside. They got a big kid in Freeze who, you know, may not be the most skilled kid, but he's large. He likes contact. Kind of sets the tone for them as far as how physical they are. And they're a tough-minded group. You know, I mean, we've seen that before. And outside of just the altercation with Cincinnati, they've always been known at that program as being a really tough-nosed group of kids.
Kaida. Spangler was headed to the rim. That's off Merninghoff. Portland basketball. .406 to play. Gonzaga leading at 83-48 and a turnover there. So Gonzaga basketball with .405 to play now. And the thing about Xavier, those are juniors and seniors. It's a really veteran-laden club, and it is designed to win and to win this year.
Yeah, athletic too. You know, probably the most athletic team GU will have faced, including Arizona, who had some tremendous athletes. It's gonna be a fun game to watch, no doubt about that.
Mike Hart wide open three off the front of the rim. Spangler the rebound and the finish.
This has a nose for the ball, doesn't he?
He does.
8 points, career high, 4 of 6 from the field. Just seems to always be around the basketball.
Eric Waterford, number 1 on the floor for Portland. There's Kaida poking the ball away from John Bailey. Time now for our Cost Cutters play or plays of the game. Just one play. All 5 players touching the ball here for Gonzaga in the first half. Great team play for GU. Cost Cutters, family hair salons in North Idaho. Perms, colors, haircuts starting at $14. Open daily. Cost Cutters. We'll be back. And we're back as we take a look at the upcoming schedule for Gonzaga. Xavier, and then deep into the league play this was the scene I think everybody who's a sports fan at all, and maybe even if you're not, you've seen this altercation between Xavier and Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. One of the most deplorable things I've ever seen in college athletics, and 6-game suspensions for some players for Xavier and Cincinnati, and I could talk the next hour about what happened there, and I just as soon not even see it ever again. And
disappointing.
I'm not sure some of these players should be playing ever again in college athletics. Let me just say that. 3:05 to play.
Well, when I first saw it, I thought to myself, I've never seen anything like that before. But that's in the moment. And then as I thought back, this history of college basketball, you've seen things similar to that as you go back in history. But I wouldn't be that severe. I thought some of those suspensions could have been 10 games. I think people and kids deserve another opportunity, and I think that's a good thing. But it was the worst thing I've seen in a long time, and just so out of control, and so much just venom between those two teams. You almost have to question, should those teams play together? Because last year they almost got in a fight as well.
But if it's the worst thing you've seen in your years around this game, then maybe it ought to result in the worst suspension that we've ever seen. And making a kid sit out for the year. Richard, I mean,
no, you saw it with Boise State.
There should have been felony charges in something like that. I'm not talking about the initial confrontation. Fights happen in the game. But when you kick someone in the face.
Sure. I'm not trying to defend it, but you saw it a couple years ago, and I believe Blunt punched a kid from Boise State, was suspended or kicked off the team, was able to work his way back, and ended up finishing well for Oregon, and now he's having a second chance in the NFL. But I'm not one for, just ending a kid's career, particularly if the kid's got remorse. Now, if the kid doesn't care and
I'm not talking about ending his career. Done for the season. If he's a senior, then he's done for his career. If he's a junior, he's got a year left. But, I mean, 6 games, honestly, non-conference games? What did that really cost Xavier Cincinnati? So it cost him some...
Well, Xavier's lost
some rankings. Yeah. Well, it cost him some rankings, and maybe it'll cost him a few seeds in the NCAA tournament. But is that really what this experience is all about today? Is it 100% about the game of basketball? Is academics or the image of the university not worth anything anymore?
Well, we could talk about an hour about that.
I know, but I mean, that's my thing. I mean, if I'm the president and I'm in a real quandary about all of that.
Yeah, I don't think either university took it lightly, though. I mean,
I got it.
I don't know those kids. Who knows how they were the next day when they were able to cool down, but.
Well, you heard the press conference after the game. We all heard the press conference, and that was more deplorable to me than what happened on the floor.
I'll tell you what, all I know is that every guy on that team for GU is happy that they'll have a full team, because that'd be a huge win. So for GU's purposes, them being full strength is the best thing, because that's your last chance outside of St. Mary's and BYU to get a really good win if you're able to do that. But to your larger point, it's a tough call. I doubt it was an easy decision. And
we're losing control, Richard. We got to get control.
It's the man's fault, buddy. It's the man's fault.
That what happened against Cincinnati and Xavier has proven we've lost control. It's time to announce tonight's player of the game, presented by A to Z Rental. No job too big or too small. With 7 convenient locations, we rent everything. Let A to Z Rental be your most valuable player for all your rental needs. Tonight's player of the game, Kevin Pangos, 19 points, 6 of 8 shooting, 2 assists. He's our A to Z Rental player of the game. Merninghoff with a steal. Up to Kaida. Poked away. Back comes Portland. Here's Carr. In and out over Hart. Eddie the rebound. Trying to go inside. Turnover. Is it just because I'm getting old that I'm a little more harsh?
I think I'm pretty old school, too. I mean, there's just so many ways you could have dealt with it. You could have kicked them off the team or suspended them indefinitely and put in some stipulations for them to work their way back. I do think that 6 games for a guy like Yancey Gates wasn't enough. But at the end of the day,
whoa! Wow. Seriously.
One-handed rebound and a one-handed finish from Ryan Spangler. A little bit of a breakout party for him. Now 11 points, best game since that exhibition to start the season. But he's going to have a role here in conference play. Look for him to get about 10, 12 minutes a game in most ball games. Just for that reason alone, he can rebound the ball at that, at that level.
I'm telling you. The guy has hands that are wound by like the tightest rubber bands in the history of mankind.
He's got excellent hands, no doubt.
Excellent? Well, better than excellent, Richard.
Spectacular.
Spectacular. There you go.
Tremendous. Look at that rebound right there. One-handed, able to kind of cup it on his body and just spins away from the defense, and a nice little baby jump hook. He's gotten more comfortable tonight. You know, I tell you what, Eddie and Spangler tonight with extended minutes, to me, from the moment they got into the game to now, look a lot more comfortable. Looks like the game is slowed down. And some kids, it just takes 2 or 3 games.
Like
for
to a
some kids,
broadcaster, it's about mic time. It's just about stick time, as they say.
Exactly. I probably sound like I know what I was talking about the first game. Now less so. Still no real idea, but
you're doing a great job, Richard. I didn't have you in mind when I said that.
No, I'm teasing, but
yeah. Carr from the corner. There's a lot of players in the second 5 for Gonzaga that other teams in the West Coast Conference would love to have on their squad. This team for Mark Few may be as deep as any as he's had. Murninghoff misses the 3. It may be as deep as any team he's had, and it may be as versatile as any team he's had. He's had some really deep teams, I get it. Maybe his depth is young this year. I think when you look at the type of pieces he can bring in, Richard, it's really diverse.
No, he's got a great group of kids, and I think he's got a lot of talent. It's young. I don't think it's the most talented group he's had or the deepest team, but it's top 3 or 4. There's no doubt about that. The future's awfully bright. There's no doubt for GU. And the league, like you said, has put on notice. It's not just the best players that start. They can go deep under that bench.
That's going to do it. Gonzaga off to a 1-0 start in West Coast Conference play. 5 wins in a row now, 17 straight against Portland. 31 of their last 32 against the Pilots, and it's their 10th win of this season. It's another great start to a season.
I was just going to say that. An excellent way to start your conference schedule. You approached it like it was a big game, even though you got probably a bigger game coming in on Saturday. An excellent effort and approach.
Richard Fox, I'm Greg Heister. Good night. Happy New Year's to everyone out there.